All right. All right. Well, we got a small group, but I know there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this in the future. So we're recording this, and I wanted to go through just some logistics for the trip, and then I know we've got some people who are still thinking about joining us. And so, if you have questions about, how did what's the genesis of this, and who are we doing this with? We're partnering with Maven, and all those kind of questions. We did another video about a month ago and a lot of those questions are answered then. So if you don't have that link, let me know. You can let me know. You can email me, and I'll send you a copy of that video. If so it gives you some of the history of us and how we got out here to Utah, and then we're partnering with Maven, which is Brett Kunkel's ministry out of California. So it gives you information about that. I have found out some information about the trip that we'll be able to go over this, in this meeting, and also some logistics, and then some information about the pre-training that we're going to go through before y'all come out here. So before we get started, are there any just pressing questions where you're just like, I just gotta know this, just really want to get your question out there before we get started? No, good. Okay. All right. Well, let's. Here's what I want to do. Maybe let's look at the pre-trip stuff first, and then we can then transition to when we're out here. So the plan is that you're out here the first week in March. Okay. So that is Sunday, March 1st through Saturday, March 7th is the time that we have slated to come. Now, some people are wanting to come out early, and I definitely don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think it's cool because what we can do if you do come out early is on Sunday morning, we can actually go to a ward, and you can actually sit in on an LDS service. And so if you want to do that, let me know. The only problem is, we got 5 kids and we don't live in a giant house. So we've got some people that already want to come out here now. You can sleep on the floors is fine, but our house might be full. But we're also talking to some other people, and they might be able to house you as well. But if you're interested in coming out early, let me know, and we can do that. And then we can go to a Mormon ward Sunday morning, which I think is a neat experience. And depending on what when we came out the first time, we did that. So it's pretty interesting to see, and you can have some conversations. But the plan is that Sunday about 5 is when we'll all hopefully be here, and we'll be at the church, which is where we're going to be staying, and that's when things will get started, okay? So I'll talk more about the itinerary here in a minute. But so travel out there, everyone's responsible for their own travel, just because we're coming from all over the world. Jane's plane, trip from California is probably not going to be as expensive as Bobby's from Louisiana. And I think maybe might even have 1 or 2 people that might be driving here. So everyone will get here however they can. And the idea would be that you would arrive, if you're not coming early, arrive sometime Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be responsible for we're going to try to secure some vans. The church that we started going to here might have some vans for us. Otherwise, I might rent some. But hopefully that will all be covered in the $500 fee that everyone is paying. So we can get we can get vans to the airport and pick y'all up. Worst case scenario, you might have to Uber to the venue, but we'll get us all here to the church Sunday. And like I said, we'll probably try to get started around dinner time Sunday night. So everyone gets your own plane here. If it's going to be Sunday, great. Just let me know when you're going to get here. So eventually we'll put together a list of when everybody's coming and leaving. I think Jane was asking earlier, maybe that I know that her plans have changed a little bit, but if whenever you have to leave on Saturday is okay. Saturday, we're not really going to be doing anything. We're going to be, I talked to the lady who does logistics for Maven today, and she's helping us plan out the trip. And she told me that Saturday basically is going to be, we're going to be cleaning up at the church, helping them kind of, we'll have been there for a week, helping them get cleaned up. And then probably heading to the airport for those that need to do that. But if you need to leave early, again, maybe it's an Uber, maybe there's a group of people that are leaving at a certain time, and we can work that. There is one, I know that Tom Jasky has to leave on Friday. So if you can't stay the whole time, obviously we want you to stay as long as you can, but if you just can't, that's fine too. And you can just, we'll get you to the airport, or you can Uber to the airport. If you can't stay the full time. But so basically the trip, the official trip will be basically Sunday from 5 to Saturday at noon. But also if you want to stay longer, you are welcome to do that as well. I think Jane is going to stay a little bit longer, but if anybody wants to stay, if there's some things that you want to do that we don't get to do, you're welcome to stay. You could stay with us. That night again, we don't have a huge house, but anybody can welcome to stay on the floor, and we can move our kids around. We can make room for you. So if that interests you and you're listening to this, then let me know. And we just need to account for it. And also, we know some people here now that might be willing to house you on either of those front end or back end Saturday nights if you want to stay a little longer or come early. So the $500, so everybody's, it's $500 plus your travel. So what we need you to do is send the $500 to me. I will put out an email tomorrow with a lot of the links, some of the things I'm going to show you tonight. For the pre-work stuff, I will put a link. I'll send out that email tomorrow with all this information in it, and then I'll include in that my address. So if you can send your check to me, but made out to Maven. So what we'll do is we'll take that money, then I'll collect it all, and then we'll send it to Maven to pay for their, the covering all of their fees and all of the work that they're doing, and then that would just be the easiest, I think. So you'll send a check written out to Maven to me for $500. If that's a problem, if you're listening to this and that's going to be a problem for you, let me know. We do, I think, have one person who has offered to give a scholarship, maybe up to half of that. We have one of those left. So if someone's watching this and they just don't think they can raise the full amount, let me know, because one of our Christian brothers has offered to have a scholarship available. If there's more people, we can ask around, and we can even talk to our director of giving nationally to see if we can find other donors that might be willing to do that. I might be able to find some around here. So don't let money be the object that keeps you from coming. So if you're interested and you're wanting to come, but you're a couple $100 short or whatever, let me know, because I think we can get you that money, and we want to get you out here. Okay, all right. So any questions just on that portion of it, and then we'll look at some of the pre-work before we come out here. Any questions about any of that?
Maybe what's the name of the church
that we will be staying at?
Yes.
I'm blanking on the name of it. I'll probably remember it by the time the meeting's over. Yeah, I always do that. It's north of Salt Lake. So there's a guy. So Brett is, California, and it has a lot of connections from Biola and that kind of stuff. And so there's a pastor who started a church up there that they've partnered with because Brett has been doing these mission trips since he was with Stand to Reason, which was Greg Kokel's ministry. And so he's built relationships with them. And so Pancratz, I think he planted the church, however 5 or 6, 7 years ago. And so that's the church that they use. They all have kind of connections to Southern California. It's north of Salt Lake City. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we're here, just about accommodations. And I've got some stuff that they sent me to help us answer that, because it's not like we're not going to be staying at the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, this is going to be sleeping at a church on mats on the floor, because that's what they got. So yeah, okay. Any other questions just about that beginning stuff? Okay. All right. Well then, so what I want to do is I'm going to show you. All right. So I will share I'm pulling this up right now. And what I want to do is share my screen, and this should be good. Okay. Does everybody see what I have in front of us right now?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody not? Okay. So this is the email that Glenn, who is Glenn Pinson, who is with Maven, sent to me. And I want to just walk you through. So we want this to be fun. Obviously, we want this to be, we want to have a great time, but we also want this to be an educational trip. I mean, this is, Ratio, we want to learn. We want to be able to actively engage with LDS. And, and towards that end, many of us don't have, I know I didn't have any idea of all the things that are involved with dialoguing with the LDS before I moved out here. And so what we want to do is we want to have some instruction on the front end that you are agreeing that you will go through, okay? And so I can show you the, so here are, and so basically there's going to be, let's see, now tell me if you see, do y'all see this Dropbox? Do you see this? It says Dropbox Immersive Experiences on it. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says it has 6 videos on it. Okay, this is a link that I will send you. Okay, now these are 6 videos that Brett Kunkel. It's Brett Kunkel going through the 6 video lessons, which I'll show you from the workbook, answering common questions about Mormonism. How do we evangelize? What's some of their worldview? And so each of us will be required to go through each of those videos, and there'll be a form that you'll check off, and I'll show you, that just shows that you've watched all of those videos. In fact, there'll be there's a link in the workbook where you walk through the fact that, let me just click on this, where you walk through those videos and you actually answer the questions. Okay, so there's 6. I'll send you the link to that. There'll be 6 videos that you'll go through. And then you will have, let's see, this is, all right. So this is the PDF of the book that you'll receive. Okay. So can you still see me in the corner up there?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the actual book that you'll receive. They're being printed right now. This is the first edition. They just came out with this fall. They're making some edits on it, and they're supposed to have it printed by next week. And then they're going to mail the copies to me, and then we'll either mail you a copy, or if you'll have the PDF. So if you don't want the actual copy, then I can just give this to you when you get here. But you'll see. So you'll see in the book, it'll say here, for instance, session 1, Are Mormons Christians? And it'll have a section 1 outline, and then it has just some fill in the blanks. Okay, so as you'll watch the video for session 1, and then as Brett goes over it, you'll just fill out the workbook. Now you'll have the PDF, and so what you'll do is you'll just print out those pages from the PDF for each chapter, each video lesson, and then go through them yourself. If you don't have this official the book. Then you'll bring all of those pages with you here, or what we can do, and this might be easier, is we can have some kind of, maybe not weekly if you don't want to, but maybe a bi-weekly meeting as we get closer to March 1st, where we can come together and just talk about it. So we can go through, maybe if we do it every other week, we can go through 2 lessons at a time. Just, all of us will have gone through it. What questions do we have? What are the things that are bubbling up that you want answered? But you'll go through each of the outline, you'll fill it out, and you'll see here. So this is everything. This is the entire book. This is the content. So you'll see section 1. Section 1, I mean, is the training session. So each of the 6 videos, and that with all the PDF that you'll have printed off, and you'll go through that. The required reading, which we'll go through here in a minute. And then when you're here, you'll still use this book. So you'll have, the goal is you'll have everything in this book. So this can be a good comprehensive resource for you to go back and use in the future. And as you're here, you'll go through and you'll have a journal as you're processing through the trip. You'll have section 4 as we work on debriefing after the trip, and we'll go through all these. And in the back, there's some resources for packing lists and all these kind of things. Now, I'll email you this. This will be part of what you'll get tomorrow when I send all of this stuff out. And so, wait a minute. So, let's see. Let me go back to that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that will be part of it. So everyone will go do that at your convenience. Ideally, the best thing is doing it about once a week, going through 1 video, 1 session a week, those kind of things. Now you'll also be responsible, and you'll see this, for reading 2 books while you're here. Can y'all see this now? This is the reading plan. You see this? No? Okay, let me, all right, hold on, let me. new share. Okay, do you see that now or no?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the reading plan. Again, this is in the book, so you'll have that PDF copy of the book, but just want to go over with you. I don't have a copy of the Ambassador's Guide to Mormonism. Does anybody have a copy of it? You do? You don't have it on you right now, do you?
I have it.
So the Ambassador's Guide to Mormonism was Brett Kunkel's. It's a book that he wrote when he was with Stand to Reason. Yeah, there you go. So will you just hold that up? Yeah, there you go. And so it's a short little book. It's an easy read. It's a good resource, and it's helpful. But that's Brett's book. So you'll read that, and you'll see that the first quiz is just all of book one, and basically the quiz is it's very easy, just reading quiz. Did you do the reading? Because we just want you to go through it. And then book two is this. Which is the Mormon Scrapbook, Witnessing to Mormons in Love. And this is the revised edition. There is an earlier edition. Probably if you just go on Amazon, you're going to get the revised edition. But the revised edition is the one that we want. And so those are the only two books that that are required. And you'll see here there's four quizzes for book two. So first one will be chapters 1 through 4, 5 through 7, 8 through 10, 11 through 14. So as you read each of them, then you'll take the quiz. And the idea is then you'll send it, as you send it, you can just send it to me and I'll compile all of it. And the only reason we're doing this is because we want you to know as much as you can before you get here. So it's not as helpful if you come here blind. If you've gone through the Mormon Scrapbook and you've gone through Brett's book, The Ambassador's Guide to Mormonism, you will be much better prepared to have these conversations while you're here. So again, this isn't, we're not trying to kill you with work, but at the same time, we want you to be prepared when you get here. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to go back. So, any questions? Any questions or anything about that? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, and then I'll share. I'll go back to share my screen one more time. Okay, so yeah, so that's the reading list. That's the yeah. So does that make sense? Any questions? I guess that's pretty much it for that. Yeah. So questions, comments. Anything about that, just from that part or that section? Clear as mud? It's not too much work. Again, you should, the Ambassador's basic curriculum, you can read, in one sitting. The Mormon Scrapbook, you'll be able to read in, a week or whatever. So you'll do those, you'll do the videos, you'll put all that together. You'll send me the PDF copies if you're doing it as PDF, or if you have it the whole book, then you'll just do them all in your book, and you'll bring your copy of the final word. For those of you that don't want for me to ship them to you, and we can talk individually. The reason this is a little bit more complicated is normally when he does it with this group, he just has a group from a youth group, and he sends just a box of books to the church, and he hands them out. Since we're all over the country, it's a little bit harder for them to send them to each person individually. So that's why he set this up so that you could do it all online, not miss anything, and then you could get your actual physical copy when you're here. If you do want a physical copy just for whatever reason before you come, then let me know and I can send them to you. I think I'll probably send Ross from UNCG. I think there's like 8 people coming from there. So I think Glenn's going to send them 8 copies just since it's it's a big group, but since everyone else is individual, he's going to send the rest to me. So if you do want your manual copy, then your hard copy, then let me know and I can give it to you. Get it shipped to you. Okay. All right. Questions or anything about any of that? So that's all. So that's pre-trip stuff. We talked a little bit about that, and then we talked a little bit about the plane and travel. And then we can talk a little bit more about. He's got a packing list. I can kind of go through some of that as well. But any questions about the stuff? Any of the stuff so far?
Just we would be flying into Salt Lake City, I assume.
Yes. So that, yeah, sorry, good question. Yeah, you will be flying into SLC, Salt Lake City. So when you're looking anywhere online or the airports, the acronym is SLC. So it's a hub for Delta. You might be able to get good cheaper flights on Delta. Also, Southwest flies in here. So if you have a Southwest, you know, if Southwest flies into, you know, for you New Jersey, I don't know. I know in North Carolina they fly out of Raleigh. They probably fly out of Louisiana, I'm sure.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I will share this now. Okay. Can everybody see this? This is the packing list. All right. So now some of this stuff. So the question would be, you know, what are the things that I need to bring when I'm here? So we will be, and so one of the things we'll talk about here, and since you guys are here, you're going to help us kind of decide this. And if those that aren't here, you know, I'll still talk to them, but kind of deciding a little bit of the schedule that's available for us to kind of massage and find out. We want to make this as an enjoyable experience for y'all as possible, but also kind of hit as much as we can that you want to see and do as possible. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. But look, the idea is, you know, out here, you know, especially the Mormons are very conservative in what they, you know, their dress. So it's going to be March 1st. So, I mean, it's not like it's, you know, it's t-shirt and short weather out here. I mean, it was blizzard out here today, snow. So I don't know what the weather will be like in March. It'll probably be in the 40s, 30s, 40s. You know, we could get, you know, they have snow here through May. So you never know. We could get, you know, we could have snow. The snow is really, you know, it's pretty amazing. They could have a blizzard and then the next day it's like, it's gone. The snow is off the roads. I mean, they're really good at cleaning it up. So we will be outside. So, you know, dress conservatively, but you're going to want to wear, you know, bring some clothes to, you know, if it's cold outside, because we're going to be doing some things outside. Obviously, just kind of monitor the weather as we get closer. You'll be able to, you know, to see. All right. So we are going to be staying at a church, and again, Bobby, I'll think of the name of this church here in a minute, and if not, okay. I can get. We'll have an itinerary when we have the itinerary fully made up. Then I'll email it to everybody, so you'll have all that on there with contact information and everything. But unfortunately, so again, this is you know, this is missionary trip, so we're staying at a church, and we're going to be sleeping on you know, pads, air mattresses, the floor. You know, we're not, you know, that's we have what they have. Also, they don't have restroom. They don't have showers at the church, so. We have it built in the schedule. I think two or three times we're going to go to a rec center right near there. There's showers and stuff there. The other groups that have done this before, I was part of a group that they did this with in the fall. It works fine. They had 60 some people in that group, and it works fine. You know, is it perfect? No. But you know, it kind of is what it is. So bring a towel for showering. You know, bathing suit if you want it, you know, if you want that for when you're showering. But we'll be going to this rec center to shower. So sleeping bag and pillow. I think that there might be some sleeping pads there that the group from Impact 360 that was there bought. So I'm going to find that out to see if, so that way you don't have to bring extra pads, and you know, we can always get some here. So that way we don't have to buy a bunch of stuff, and I can kind of collect that. So, but you know, your own sleeping bag and pillow, you know, bring your books, The Ambassador's Guide to Mormonism, Witness to Mormons in Love, bring the guidebook if you have it. Obviously, if you don't, I will provide it for you when you're here. Bring a Bible, because one of the things that they are big on is to have a no electronics, or is at least as minimal electronics on this trip as possible. I mean, part of what we want to do is we're trying to, you know, grow as a group, and also in, you know, to have this experience of being out here. You're in a completely non-Christian environment. I mean, this, you know, Utah is the least Christian state in the country. So we want to be immersed in this as much as we can. And if we're all on our phones, it's going to be harder to do that. So this is part of Maven's policy is no electronics. If we want to have, you know, if you're going to bring your cell phone, we'll just have you know, we just want to have some time, you know, where we say there are no cell phones. And I think it'll be better for us, better as a group, because it's time to hang out where we're not worrying about social media or things like that. So bring an actual Bible, you know, a physical Bible. Meal money. So in your $500, all of your dinners, I think all of your dinners are paid for, and breakfast and stuff like that. We're going to take that money and we're going to go to probably to Sam's Club or to Costco and just buy a bunch of food. So we'll have breakfast and we'll have lunch. But when we're out, so when we're out at Temple Square or when we go down to BYU, some of those days you'll buy your own lunch. So, maybe if you want to have, $50, $100 or something for lunch, just for meals. If you want to bring some of these other stuff, that's fine. Obviously, bring, if you want to buy souvenirs and stuff, don't bring drugs or alcohol. It's very important that we state that. If you're bringing drugs with you on the plane out here, we probably the Ratio Christi immersive experience probably isn't for you if you're importing drugs into Utah. So anyway, but so don't bring again, cell phones. If you look, if you need to bring them, that's fine. But we just don't want them to be a distraction. I appreciate this actually. When Glenn was telling me, he said we want to enforce that as much as possible. I think it'll be better for us because then we're just hanging out and we're talking about what we experienced that day, what we're going to experience tomorrow. I mean, it just gives us time to hang out and not get lost on our phones. So, all right. So, any questions about any of that? Again, I'll email you all of this, but I just kind of wanted to go through with everybody here in the meeting before I sent it to you and emailed to you. Any questions about any of that? Is that any strong objections to any of that?
A question about the clothing.
Yeah.
Is it okay to wear like pants? Like, can girls wear pants, or do we need to be wearing like dresses? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's just being modest. So I mean, most
right.
Look, that's probably going to apply more in the summer. You're not wearing, we're not wearing short shorts. Guys, we're just wearing pants. Yeah, so that's fine. What you will, and this will be, we will see, obviously depending on where we go. But if we do see and also depends, and this will kind of depend on, we'll talk about here in a second, some of the logistics of what we do. But if we go further into southern Utah, you potentially will see some of the polygamous groups, and they are in full pioneer dress, long skirts, collared, long shirts. And so if you're wearing pants, then, they will think that you're blasphemous, but that's part of it. But pants are fine. Basically just be modest. I mean, Salt Lake City is very liberal. So Salt Lake City is, just kind of a regular, big city. But we're interacting with the LDS at Temple Square. But when we go down to BYU, I go to BYU fairly often, and it's like you would expect. It's the same kind of dress that at most colleges. It's just in the summer you're not going to have the girls in shorter shorts, the guys in less. They're just going to be more modest. But I think for our purposes, especially it'll just be kind of cold, so you're probably going to want to dress warmly anyway.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here. So any other questions? Any concerns about that? Okay. So then I'm going to show you one more. Let's see. This is okay. All right. So let me share this with you. All right. So what we want to look at is sort of can everyone see this as biblical immersive experience itinerary? Okay. So this would be, this is a mock itinerary, and this is what they've done in the past. And some of this is set in stone, and I can tell you what's already set. And then we've got some wiggle room, I think on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so really, this will be up, I kind of want to hear from y'all. What would you, what kind of things do you want to hear? Do people you want to hear from? What kind of things do you want to do? So basically Sunday, again, this is this is kind of the mock itinerary, and it's already been changed a little bit even from this, because I think on day one, we'll be there. We'll probably have somebody speak to us that night, maybe even we'll probably have a guy named Rob Savolka speak to us that night. And then on Monday, we'll have Sandra Tanner speak to us in the morning. If you don't know who Sandra Tanner is, she is Brigham Young's great-great-granddaughter. But her and her late husband, Gerald, they began investigating the truth claims of the church, converted, and she has probably done more than anybody to bring to fruition, or bring out to the open the truth claims of the Mormon Church as opposed to biblical Christianity. And so her ministry is just amazing. Utah Lighthouse Ministry. I've got one of her books here on the table, Shadow of Reality. That's like the Bible for a lot of people that are in this. So I think she just turned 80. So she's just a wealth of knowledge, just really neat. And so we'll hear from her, probably visit her bookstore. You know, I always bring money because I've never gone in there once and not bought a book, even though I tell myself I'm not going to buy a book this time, but every time I go in there, I end up buying something. So we'll probably visit her bookstore. Then we'll go to Temple Square. I will tell you that the temple is actually, it's been closed down for the public. It's going to be closed down for 5 years. The beginning of the year it closed down. They're doing all these renovations on it, and then it's going to reopen 5 years from now. But we'll still be able to go to so the Temple Square itself is going to be closed down. So it'll be, I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I haven't been down there yet since the beginning of the year. But there will be, there's a museum there. There's a Joseph Smith Memorial Building. There's the big venue, convention center, where they have their conference. It seats like 30,000 people or 25,000 people, where they have their conference every year. So you'll be able to tour those buildings, but you'll also be doing evangelism when you're down there. So you tour and you do evangelism. We'll break off in groups. You'll have lunch down there at City Creek Center, which is all the LDS owns all this area downtown. It's really pretty down there. And then we'll probably come back, and then we'll have a lesson from somebody. We'll do some teaching for us. So that'll be day 2. That'll be Monday. So I guess really day 1. Then Tuesday we'll wake up. We'll have some more training. I think Bill McKeever, who's a guy with Mormonism Research Ministries. That's another great ministry that you want to know. He's going to do some teaching for us, and then we'll actually go to BYU. So on Tuesday we'll drive down to BYU. Then what we do is we go into the food court at BYU. Thousands of students are there, and we try to have conversations with the students. And so we've talked about what that will look like beforehand, and then you go and you have the conversations, and then we gather together afterwards, kind of debrief, and then we will head back up to Salt Lake City, and then we'll have some other training by somebody at that point. And again, we can that part's a little bit up for discussion as well. Again, sometime we'll also have time to go to the rec center and shower and everything like that. And then that part has sort of been set, that she's already gone through that, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are kind of open for us. So what they've done in the past is they have taken, one day to kind of do some fun, quote unquote, sightseeing things here in Utah. So you can see on this where they went to Provo Canyon and actually floated the canyon, rafting the canyon. And then they went to Bridalveil Falls, which there's all kinds of beautiful waterfalls here. And this is Bridalveil Falls is near Provo. So you hike up to that. It's really, really pretty. So there's been stuff like that we could do. I don't know how much canyoning we're going to do in, it's winter time. But we could do something like that if you wanted. Or we could go see, we could go up to, I'm blanking on the big ski resort that's right here where the film festival is. Again, I'll think of it here in a minute. But we could go up there if you wanted to. There's lots of pretty things we could do. Or we could continue to do, evangelism and those kind of things. So kind of keep that in mind. That's, something that we're wrestling with. And then one of those days though, so right here, they have it on Thursday, we go back down to BYU and back down to Provo. BYU is in Provo, and actually do door-to-door evangelism in Provo. So, the Mormons have been doing door-to-door evangelism all over the world for years. So we actually go down to Provo and do door-to-door evangelism there, which I know at first is going to be, it's kind of scary. But just to tell you that when the group was here in the fall from Impact 360, one of the groups actually led a man to Christ in that one interaction. And so, you never know what those interactions can entail. So we'll do that, and then there'll be some other teaching. So here we could go to Catholic Mass. That's here. There is the LDS population is the biggest religion, and then there's a big fairly decent sized Catholic population, and then less than 3% evangelical Christian. And then here they had Friday on this kind of mock itinerary. They actually drove down to Ephraim, which is in the middle of Utah, southern Utah, heading down towards the polygamous groups. And there's a guy down there, Chip Thompson, who wrote the book, the Mormon Scrapbook, and he has his ministry, Solid Rock Cafe, down there. And so just 2 minutes on him. He moved to Ephraim, I think it was like 20 or 30 years ago. There was no Christian presence whatsoever in that whole place, none. And he just started having a little Bible study in his house, and then out of that came a house church, and then now out of that has grown a Bible church, and they've actually planted another Bible church. But they actually bought a property right across from Snow Junior College, which is right down there. And they actually, they built this little coffee shop, and he has a little inside the coffee shop. He has a sort of a mini biblical archaeology museum, and really it's almost like a Christian study center, but it's sort of like that. But it's just a place for people to come. They have good, they have InterVarsity meets there, and it's a place to do ministry. And they've had lots of LDS that have come out of students have come out of the LDS faith because of just being at the ministry, being at the coffee house. So we could go down there and kind of debrief with him and see that. And there's if you're down there, you can do some things in southern Utah, see some of the sites, which are really, really pretty. And then Saturday on this, they have some more training, but really Saturday is when we would leave. So I know that's a lot, but is there any, and so one of the things that I would, I suggested and, kind of see what y'all think, but since we are Ratio, and since we have we do have a heart for the college campus, and we've started a Ratio chapter at the University of Utah and at Utah Valley University, which is right beside BYU in Orem, Utah, which is right beside Provo. I was thinking that we could have one of those days where we would actually go on campus and maybe do some evangelism and talk to some students on campus. So what's cool about doing that is when I do evangelism at the University of Utah, you're not just getting LDS, you're getting there's a huge there's a growing atheist population here in Utah of people who have left the LDS church and are now very, very angry. They feel like they've been lied to their whole life because they have, and now they're just pretty angry atheists. So there's a lot of atheists on campus, there's different religions, and there's a lot of LDS as well. So doing evangelism on the campus at the University of Utah is pretty interesting because you just run the gamut. I mean, I'll have one day of one day of maybe 3 hours of evangelism. I'll talk to an LDS, I'll talk to an atheist, I'll talk to a Christian, a Muslim, one day I talk to a Satanist. I mean, so it's just, it's this the kind of what you normally get on college campus. So I think that would be interesting. I think that'll be good for y'all to see, get a flavor of the college life here in Utah, especially, being Ratio. So that's an idea. And there's some other people that want to talk to you. I think I mentioned this before we started recording, but there's a guy who does some ministry here who's going to get a chance to talk to you about coming back out here and doing internships here in the summer out here in Utah, partnering with churches, because there's just such a small group of people that are doing ministry in Utah, and we just need people out here. And so we're trying to partner with them about getting Ratio students out here during the summer. So he wants to speak to you. And there's a couple other apologists or evangelists that we would like to have talk to you. But then there's also opportunity. I don't know if it interests you of trying to get some LDS, some well-versed LDS, either one or two people, men or women that would want to present, either to the group if we want to do that, and let them share with the group, and then we can open it up for questions. We did that with the group we brought here in August, and that went really well. So anyway, I don't know, thoughts or, from anybody on ideas, say, for the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're definitely going to do the Provo door-to-door evangelism one of those days. So really we would have, Wednesday, Friday to kind of, do different things. So if we want to go down to Ephraim to that, that's certainly available to us. And if we wanted to, if we wanted to take Wednesday and go on campus, we could do that. So I don't know, other, thoughts about any of that, or is that just way too much information?
Will there be coffee on this trip?
No, there's no coffee in Utah. It's banned.
Because they're Mormons, right?
No, it's that's what's so interesting about Chip, about his ministry, because it's a coffee shop, and it's and what's interesting is the LDS will not drink coffee, but they drink hot chocolate. So it's just it's interesting. They talk about, going out and sharing hot chocolate with each other, which I don't know, it's interesting. Also, you'll find it's kind of interesting. They, drinking sugary drinks and caffeine is like, that's kind of when if they want to go rogue, if they want to go rebel, that's kind of their big thing. So there are these soda places here. They call them like Soda-licious and Fizz, and all they have they're just soda. That's all they are. And you'll see lines around the corner for these places for people just getting soft drinks. But yeah, Jane, there are tons of. There's actually, I think there's even a Starbucks in Provo now. But there used to not be any coffee in Provo. Utah County, which is where Provo is the least evangelical county in the whole country. Less than 0.5% Christian. But in Salt Lake City, again, it's as secular as you can get. There's Beans and Brews, I think, is the real popular coffee place here. So there's tons of those, and Starbucks. So Jane, you will be able to get your coffee fixed. Don't worry.
All righty, cool.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Jane's like gonna back out of the trip if there's no coffee. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. So anyway, thoughts. I know that's a lot of information, but any ideas about things that even in stuff we didn't mention, other things that you were thinking, hey, I really thought we would see this. I think we're going to try to get one of the speakers is going to be somebody who does ministry with the polygamous groups. So there's two people, a lady named Doris Hanson, another guy named Mike Minning that have done a lot of ministry with the polygamists. I think Doris actually came out of polygamy. And Mike does a lot of work down in southern Utah where Warren Jeffs' group was. If y'all know who Warren Jeffs is, the fundamentalist, the FLDS group. We actually went down to Colorado City, which is where the FLDS was a couple months ago. It's heartbreaking place. But so they'll speak to you to kind of, there's so much happening in Utah that's just, you would think you're thinking people are just making this stuff up because it's just so bizarre, but they're not, especially with the polygamous group. So we want you'll hear from them. Yes, I don't know, any other ideas, thoughts, things that you'd like to see? And that's just up for anything, huh?
Yeah, not at the moment. Everything sounds really good. I mean, yeah, I'm down for it. Sounds great.
All right. What if we didn't have so I guess maybe a question, what if like on Wednesday here, so we kept the kind of, well, let me ask you this. Does going down to Ephraim to check that out, does that sound interesting to y'all? I mean, it's like a 2-hour drive, but it's pretty, and you drive down through southern Utah, so you see a different area. And one thing, if we did go down there, we could come back through, we could go maybe, I don't know, it's kind of near Arches, which is this beautiful place, just gorgeous. So maybe we could kind of mix that into it to get you, so you could see parts of southern Utah is beautiful. It's probably, Zion National Park is it's probably the most beautiful place in the world. We're not going to be able to get all the way down there because it's about 4 or 5 hours from here, and it would just be too much. But if someone wants to stay, we could drive down there, on Saturday or something. And
that's where you're taking me, Aaron.
Oh yeah, so Jane, we'll go down.
Yeah.
There. Anyone wants to stay with us? It's I think the most beautiful place I've ever been. But if we did that on Friday, if we went to Ephraim on Friday and we did that, then we could still see maybe some of those places. I don't think we get all the way to Arches just because from time, but maybe. But then we could. But then maybe that Wednesday we could do some outreach and some ministry at the University of Utah. Or maybe we switch the days up and we do it Friday at the University of Utah. We're actually doing our meetings Friday afternoons there this semester, just to try to meet things. Actually, we're doing a deep questions club like Jane and Willie do, and we're going to try that out. So we might try to meet there on Friday and get y'all to do some evangelism. But Fridays are kind of a dead time, so we might want to do Wednesdays. But I don't know. Any thoughts about any of that? I know it's kind of hard because you don't know what you don't know. But is there anything that you really want to see that when you're out here that you're just like, I got to see this when I'm here?
Not that I can think of. I don't know a ton about Utah.
Yeah.
So I'm more along for the experience and to help in any way I can and to learn as I go. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, it all sounds good to me. I mean, going down and seeing the polygamous cults, Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'd be very interested in that. Total side note: if to everybody, if you're flying out to Utah and spending the money to get out there, if you could stay an extended time and go down to southern Utah, it is beautiful. I've been out there several times to Zion and Bryce Canyon and Arches and all that. So if you can extend the trip and get down there, I highly recommend it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I said, Zion is I think it's my favorite place in the world. I mean, I haven't been everywhere, but it's beautiful. Yeah. It's just
there's some great hikes there too. If you really good hikes.
It's just for us to do it within a trip, it would be hard. But see, right next to Zion is St. George, and St. George is right near. There's a lot of polygamous stuff down there, and then super close to there is Colorado City, where they used to call it Short Creek. If you do any research on Warren Jeffs, that's where he ran the FLDS. And actually, what's super interesting is Jeff's compound that he kind of ran, and he had some other places around the country too, but where he kind of where he ruled in that area, it actually turned it in. One of his wives, he had I think 60 some wives, and one of them actually became a Christian, and they turned his old house into it's the Short Creek Dream Center, and it's actually a sort of halfway house for women that are coming out of polygamy, a safe place for them to come and get some help, because they're just the way that the FLDS treat women is just, it's disgusting. But but to give them some help to get out of that. So I wish we could go down there, and like I said, like Steven said, we could, if you want to stay an extra day, and we could see about trying to go down there or something. But we can hear from Doris or Mike, and Mike does a lot of ministry down there, so he can really kind of fill in a lot, and it's gotten a lot better, evidently. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, it was when Jeffs was when he was still running Stowe, it was evidently horrible, and he's been in prison now for, I think, 10, 15 years. So it's different down there now, but it's still, and there's polygamous groups. There's a polygamous group here in the Salt Lake City area, the Kingston group, and they're just, just stories that will just make you just want to vomit, just disgusting about stuff that happens. So we'll try to get some people, someone, one or two people from that, who are doing ministry there are coming out of that to talk to you and help you understand that.
If possible, I'd like to go undercover. And,
hey, is that Ross?
Yeah, he's going undercover now.
I'm going undercover. Matter of fact, I'm undercover here.
Yeah. What you're going to go undercover as what? As a
polygamist.
No. Yeah. Oh,
can you give me the hats and the suspenders and the boots and?
I know you're kidding, but it's actually the first time it'll make you want to get sick, because you just realize that these young girls that are just basically being abused. And if you read anything about Warren Jeffs, he was a child molester. He was of the sickest caliber, and was a sadist, really, and just the stuff that he did, and still is still running the show from prison. He was certainly I believe that it's demonic, and I believe a lot of stuff. It's just, I believe there's a demonic spirit out here, and so there are some people that come out here. I've had people come out who go down to Temple Square and they can't stand it. A friend of mine that was just out here, he just didn't. It made him uneasy. It made him queasy, and he just couldn't be down there. So, I think part of it, prayer and spiritual warfare is certainly a real thing out here, and you'll get it. You'll experience that as well. So I don't know. Think about, so if we did all of, if we did this, does anybody not? Do you think going to the Ephraim and going down there, would be interesting? Anybody not think that would be interesting, or rather stay closer? We could go to the Temple Square twice, and we could do other things around here as well.
Yeah, I think Ephraim would be interesting, if anything, to see the cafe. I have a 12-year-old daughter who says, what do you want to do when you grow up, baby? She's like, I want to own a coffee shop and use it for ministry. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that looks like, but yeah, so that would be interesting, just to get a firsthand experience of somebody that's doing that in a completely different environment than what I'm used to.
Totally. Yeah. And I've actually got some, vision about ways we could do that actually in Provo at BYU, doing a Christian study center there. Cause I think that's the way we're going to be able to get on the campus at BYU. So if we did that, and then maybe Wednesday, like I said, maybe Wednesday we did some stuff around the campus. I mean, if the weather if it's freezing, we're not going to want to go doing a lot of hiking. So kind of could be TBD on that. But there are some beautiful areas even around here that we could. I mean, it's just beautiful anywhere, just being around here. But there's some places that we could go. Bridalveil Falls is close to Provo, so you could see some pretty sights when you're here. But that we could still be doing some evangelism, because I figure when you're out here, you're going to be wanting to, interact with the the LDS and the people out here as much as you can, evangelism. So, all right, well. If you're watching this and you got some ideas about the itinerary, please let me know. If y'all just didn't want to speak up because you're afraid Ross was gonna beat you up or something, then you could talk to me offline. But just let me know if you have ideas about that, because we want to kind of get the itinerary pretty shored up, maybe in the next week or two, and then. I'll send it out once we have the final itinerary. I'll send it all out to y'all, and you'll know everything that we're going to be doing. All right, so that's I know that's a lot of information, but that's all the stuff that I had to talk about. We talked about all the stuff we're going to be doing pre-trip, so the teachings and the readings and all that, the workbooks, getting me the money, the $500, the travel. Packing, and again, I'll send you all of this, all the stuff that I was showing you. I'll send all that to you, and then with a link to this video, so you'll have all that. Any questions? Comments? Anything? Any questions about it? Really about anything in regards to this that I can help, or that someone else might be able to answer?
Will there be any lumpia there?
Any what?
Lumpia.
Wrong place, Ross.
I don't speak jive. What is that?
I did that just for Jane.
What are lumpia?
If you go to the Philippines in May.
I'm going.
Are y'all just reminiscing about other Rasha Christi trips?
Oh, I have stories to tell about Ross.
Oh, no. They're lies.
Fake news. Fake news.
So Ross has, Ross, you've got 6 people coming with you, hopefully, right?
Hopefully 7.
Hopefully 7. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting everybody on the trip, and of course renewing my friendship with Aaron and his lovely family. Yeah,
well, we're super excited to have all y'all come. I think what we can, if you want, because I know Ross is going to probably, Ross has they've got 7, including him 8, so they're going to probably go through these videos together once a week. But like I said, what I think we can do is I'll schedule maybe a every other week meeting leading up to the trip, so that we can just have a time of, especially as we get the group solidified, we can have a time just to, just get to know each other. But we can go through some of the questions. You guys can ask questions. I certainly don't know, everything there is. I'm learning, every day about LDS stuff. I'm just reading through the Book of Mormon for the first time. So there are probably other people on the trip that know a lot more about it than I do. But we can kind of practice, learn together. But we'll try to schedule maybe every other week just to get together and as we get to know each other better before the trip. And then, I think we're like 7 weeks away from getting out here. So as you have questions, any comments, anything, you can always email me, certainly call me or text me. I'll try to help you answer any questions I can.
Aaron, you said you're going to send out a link with this information, this proposed itinerary. I'll share it.
Everything we went over tonight. And so I'll send the link. What I'll do is I'll post this video onto YouTube, and then I'll send the link to the video, and every one of the everything that we went over, I'll send, including the PDF of the book, The Final Word, so everyone will have that. And then also the link to those videos, okay? And so even in the video, in the description that I'll send, there is a password if you need it. I never needed it when I went on there, but you'll just watch those videos and then go through them in your workbook. Again, if you have the PDF, just print out the pages and write it. And then Ross, I don't know if you were here earlier, but he should have those books printed, he said, by early next week. And he's going to send, we'll talk, Ross, but I think he's going to send your group. So if you need 8, he'll just directly send them to you. He's going to send the rest to me just because, and then I can send them to each person individually if you want a copy, but you'll have the PDF there. If you don't, I can give you a copy when you get here.
It sounds good, Aaron.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? Any other humorous anecdotes you want to share with the group? We really just want to get off the chest. Huh? Except for Ross.
Say anything.
All right. Well, hey, Ross, why don't you pray for us in this trip, and then we'll shut it down.
All right, Aaron, I'd love to. Heavenly Father, thank you for this meeting. Thank you for Aaron and his ministry. Thank you for his heart for Utah. Thank you for my brothers and sisters here who are contemplating either that or actually have committed to go. Lord, do your work, Lord, in Utah, Lord, and do your work in us, Lord God. Make us pliable, make us useful, Lord. Use us as seed, I pray, Lord, even there in Utah, and looking forward to this. And we love you and thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 All right. All right. So I'll stop recording.